Ms. Reddy joins in right now. Ms. Reddy, thanks so much for joining in. Can you tell us about how the quarter panned out for you?
Well, I think there's always the ambition that we can do more. But if you look at what we've done, we've really achieved the plan. We've achieved 17% growth consolidated with 6,477 crores of revenue. EBITDA has grown by 27% to 965 crores, and profit has grown by 35% to 502 crores. So yes, this is as per plan. What more can we do? I think that we do have opportunities to grow in the healthcare space, where we're looking at better asset utilization. We will be opening up new beds, which will drive revenue. Existing hospitals will drive revenue like they've done of 13 to 14%, but new beds will add an additional 3 to 4% of revenue. So that is the plan that we have going forward in the next year. And I believe that even in each of the verticals, if you look at Apollo Health and Lifestyle, they have achieved a revenue of 467 crores. But there's a huge opportunity to grow the diagnostic network, which is currently 2,457 centers and just 177 crores of revenue. And their focus now is to really grow this, to create those central labs which will do the high-end tests. So their margins move up from the current 10.8% to around 25%. And I think that is when we would have delivered what we really planned for in the midterm. Apollo Healthco continues to grow at a strong 20%. They came in with a revenue of 2,827 crores, a EBITDA of 128 crores, and a profit of 87 crores. So they are on solid ground with the 185 new pharmacies and over 7,000 pharmacies, making it the largest pharmacy network in India. And the combination of online and offline has a very powerful presence. With this, they're able to do about over 38,000 transactions per day, and they will continue to add to this momentum with different offerings that include not just pharmacy online, but doctors consult, diagnostic referrals, as well as their insurance, which they have an insurance broking license, where they will continue to grow that very strongly.
Got it. If I can peel the layers a little bit, has the growth been driven by volumes, or is it a higher mix of complex surgical cases?
It is both, but I would think that that we manage the system very efficiently. There was a 5% volume growth, and complexity of cases added to the growth. So we had about 5% increase in price. The rest comes from complex cases, more use of robotics, more transplants, cardiac growing by 20%, onco growing by another 18%, gastro growing by 17%. So in each of the subspecialties that really contribute to our average revenue per patient have grown substantially.
Okay. Now, well, you mentioned oncology, right? That has risen to 17% from, I believe, 13 to 14% a year ago. Which programs now, post-oncology, are the next big mix shifters? And what ARPOB uplift are you targeting region-wise?
So these will continue to drive growth, and they will drive very good, profitable growth. The other thing that they will do is to create that clinical differentiator, to differentiate us from many other hospitals, is to really aim to do this high-end care. The next leg of growth is also in the preventive healthcare space. And I do believe that we're putting in place a plan where we'll get 2,000 crores of revenue coming from preventive healthcare. And this is something we feel as Apollo we should pioneer, we should lead, and it will address all markets, different segments of the population, elderly care, the geriatric population, the millennials who are suffering with NCD, as well as Gen Z, which with stress, etc., really need to look at preventive healthcare.
Okay, sorry, ma'am, could you please elaborate and give me some details on the same?
No, I think you have to give a target. And I would say that this is the target we're working towards. More than a numerological target of revenue, it will be shaped by the volumes. And these volumes are already existing. They are volumes coming to us. So just by adding to these, adding this one perspective, which is preventive healthcare, I think the 18,000 patients that we should hope to see in the preventive healthcare space, which is about 10% of what we do.
Okay, got it. Thanks. I was looking for that. Now, I want to move the focus on average revenue per occupied bed. How has that been? What's the trajectory going to be like?
The new hospitals will, in fact, you will not see a huge improvement in average revenue per patient coming from new hospitals. What you will see is a revenue lift. And over a period of time, you'll see an absolute volume EBITDA lift. So it will grow revenue, it will grow EBITDA. Margins will take, maybe 24 months to normalize to what we currently have with the new hospitals opening. But definitely, it is much needed, and it will take us back to the 17-18% growth trajectory for hospital revenue.
Okay. Can't let you go without talking about the biggest developments on stage, right? The US FTA signed, EU FTA signed, budget had some benefits for you. Thoughts on the same?
So I think whatever has been done in terms of tariffs and the dialogue with both the EU and US should benefit India as a whole. When India as a whole benefits, and I think all of industry benefits. So on behalf of the industry, I think we're very happy to see this change that has happened in the in the past 6 months. Moving on to what was announced in the budget, which was 5 medical tourism hubs, I think this is very good for India because we're able to deliver outstanding clinical care at 1/10 of the cost. So why not offer it to the rest of the world? Because by doing so, we not only earn valuable foreign exchange, but we'll be able to retain our doctors, we'll be able to really move up in terms of getting the best therapies to India, whether it's medical equipment or clinical protocols. We'll continue to lead in terms of the clinical work that we do, and it will be open to the rest of the world, which means you'll also earn valuable foreign exchange.
Okay. Sorry, I'm squeezing in one more question, Ms. Reddy, if you will. A lot of sectors, after growing a lot, tend to plateau out a little bit. Can hospitals be different? Can this continue to be a super growth category for the next many years after having seen so many years of growth?
Yes, I think, there's a structural demand for good healthcare. And affordability among Indians has improved dramatically. You will see that is in the FMCG everywhere that demand has spurred, and tax policies, rationalization of GST has helped this growth. If you look at branded healthcare, like you say, I wouldn't say we're branded. I would say we're good corporate healthcare. There are only 70,000 beds available currently. So we probably need to more than take it up 10 times to serve the demand. Tier 2 cities are growing. They're contributing 35% to GDP. The return on capital employed, even in those Tier 2 cities, are very good, very attractive. So I think the landscape for growth for the healthcare sector for the next 2 decades looks very strong.
Got it. Okay. Ms. Reddy, thank you so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time this morning.